Welcome to Nerdy Psychology, where your mind's not as messy as it seems. We break it down with a little curiosity and make sense of your thoughts and your themes. So be curious, stay kind, keep your mind nerdy.
Have you ever felt like you're changing, but you don't fully recognize yourself anymore? Like the things you used to tolerate, you can't stand anymore. The roles you used to play, they don't quite fit anymore. The way you used to show up feels out of alignment. And instead of feeling clear or confident, you feel uncertain, disconnected, or maybe even a little lost. And this thought creeps in. What if I'm losing myself? But what if you're not losing yourself at all? What if you're outgrowing the version of you that was never meant to be permanent? Hi, nerds. If we haven't met, I'm Dr. Angel, a mental health professional and the creator of Nerdy Psychology, where we talk about patterns behind how we think, feel, and grow in real, grounded, and human ways. And today we're talking about something that doesn't get discussed enough: the identity shift. That uncomfortable space where who you were and who you're becoming doesn't quite match yet. Okay, so what is the identity shift? An identity shift happens when your internal world changes before your external life fully catches up. You start thinking differently, or setting boundaries, or questioning your old patterns, wanting different things for yourself. But your environment, it might still expect the old version of you. And that creates this tension because you're no longer who you were, but you're not fully grounded in who you're becoming either. So I'm going to give you some examples. I once worked with someone who started setting boundaries for the first time, saying no and speaking up and taking up space. And at first, it felt empowering. But then the reaction started. You've changed, or what's wrong with you, or you're being distant, or that's not like you. And suddenly, growth didn't feel empowering anymore. It felt uncomfortable and guilty and a little lonely because the version of them that people were used to was easier for everyone else. Here's another example. You've always been the reasonable one, the helper, the one that keeps the peace. And now you're tired. You start pulling back some and reevaluating, wanting a little more balance in your life. But internally, there's this tension. If I'm not that person, then who am I? Or here's another example, and this one runs deep, and it impacts a lot of women. Women who were taught to be nice, be agreeable, be accommodating, be easy to be around. And that worked for a long time. But now you want boundaries and honesty and space. You want authenticity. And suddenly you feel like, am I being selfish? Am I too much now? When really, you're just no longer shrinking to fit the expectations of those around you. Growth can feel like grief, and this is the part most people don't expect. Growth doesn't just feel exciting. Sometimes it can feel like grief. Grief for the version of you that coped the best way it knew how. The relationships that don't fit the same anymore. The familiarity of who you used to be. Because even if that version of you wasn't fully aligned, it was known. And the unknown feels uncomfortable. Your brain is wired for familiarity and predictability and stability. So when your identity starts to shift, your brain doesn't say, oh, this is growth. It says, this is unfamiliar, and are we okay? And unfamiliar often feels like loss and instability and discomfort, even when it's leading you somewhere better. So here's the reframe I want you to hold on to. You're not losing yourself. You're meeting yourself at a deeper level. And that's a process. It's not linear, it's not comfortable, and it's not immediate. It's a transition. So here's your pattern interrupt for the week. When you feel that feeling of discomfort, instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Pause and ask, what part of me is changing right now? What am I no longer willing to tolerate? What am I learning to choose instead? And here's the most important one. Can I give myself permission to not have this all figured out yet? Because here's the truth. Growth doesn't feel like becoming someone new. It often feels like letting go of who you had to be. If this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. What does change feel like for you right now? Drop it in the comments. This is a space for honesty, not perfection. I invite you to like and subscribe to the channel so you can join our nerdy community. Until next time, be curious, stay kind, and keep your mind nerdy. That's a wrap. See you next week.
So be curious, stay kind, keep your mind